Hey, what's up, people? Pizzal here, and today I want to talk to you guys about 1989's Howling 5, The Rebirth, or as Joe Dante, the director of the original Howling, refers to it as, the one where people run around a castle and nothing happens, which is a pretty astute observation on Mr. Dante's part. It's all part of the newly released Howling Collection DVD set from Umbrella Entertainment. And Howling 5, The Rebirth, centers on a random group of people who have been randomly chosen to go hang out in a castle in Budapest. And one of them is a werewolf. They run around the castle and not a lot happens. Now, I have to say that Howling 5, The Rebirth did get started off on a somewhat positive note with this eclectic group of characters hanging out in a hotel before they head off to Budapest. There's some snappy dialogue. A couple of the characters are actually pretty interesting. Unfortunately, the two most interesting characters in the movie are also the first two characters in the movie to get killed. And I dig the setting of Howling 5. I dig the gothic castle that everybody's running around inside of. I thought it was an interesting setting for a werewolf movie, and just the setup in general is kind of interesting because Howling 5 doesn't play out like a traditional werewolf movie. It plays out more like a murder mystery slasher movie. And there were some compelling moments in the movie thanks to the murder mystery elements. However, the logic behind Howling 5, The Rebirth starts to unravel really early on because I don't know about you, but if I got a letter in the mail from some obscure count somewhere in Europe saying, hey, you've won the opportunity to come to Budapest and hang out in this ancient castle that nobody stepped foot inside in 500 years, I would run, pack a bag, and hop the very first flight to Budapest. I mean, that's basically, that letter from the Count is basically the 80s equivalent of the Nigerian prince emails that wind up in your spam folder. And then once the two most interesting characters in the movie are killed off, you're left with some pretty paper-thin, interchangeable characters spouting just redundant, repetitive dialogue, wandering around this castle. Occasionally, they get killed off-screen by something that's snarling, or you'll get a flash of a werewolf here and there, or a silhouette of a werewolf, or a shadow of a werewolf, or like a very brief glimpse of like a werewolf mouth. And that's really about it. As a matter of fact, the biggest sin of Howling 5, The Rebirth is just how little werewolf action there is in this movie. There is next to no werewolf action in this movie. There's no transformations. There's no big reveal of, the wolf. It's just shadows and silhouettes and flashes, and that's really it as far as the werewolf is concerned. Now, we get to a point in the movie very early on where it becomes very, very obvious who the killer is. And I have to say, I kind of want to give the film and the actor portraying the werewolf some credit in how they present this character to be a really bad actor. But just when you're about to give the movie any credit, you're very quickly reminded that this is Howling 5, The Rebirth, and no, the actor's just a really bad actor, and it's just kind of poorly written. Then we get to the big reveal of why these people were chosen to come to this castle. It links back to the prologue before the movie, which took place in Budapest centuries ago. It's really kind of meaningless. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense and doesn't do anything for the movie. Basically, these people all share the exact same birthmark on the inside of their arm. And of course, that means that one of the people, they are the relative of a werewolf that was around at this time. And so therefore they have to be a werewolf, or one of them has to be a werewolf too, and they've been brought to this castle by the Count in order to end the bloodline. I got exhausted and I got a headache just trying to explain that plot. And another thing that really dawned on me while watching this movie again for probably the 20th time, because this was a movie that was constantly on cable television growing up. I'm sure I at least rented it once or twice from the video store while growing up, is so the werewolf, this is the first time the werewolf's ever stepped foot inside this castle. However, the werewolf knows this castle, every corridor, every hidden passage, like the back of its paw. This is also probably one of the most anticlimactic Howling movies when it comes to the finale. It's one of those finales where the killer reveals themselves by staring into the camera ominously at the end of the movie, like, fooled you, haha, you didn't think it was me, did you? Tricked you. It's one of those endings. Now, as bad as I make Howling 5 The Rebirth sound, I have to admit, much like Howling 4, I have a big soft spot for this movie. Again, it was one of those movies that was constantly on cable television when I was growing up. I'm sure I rented it from the video store at least once or twice growing up. I do commend it for trying to do something different with the whole werewolf, thing. And, putting it in this gothic castle and making it a whodunit. But the execution is off, to say the least. But still, I have a soft spot for Howling 5 The Rebirth in my heart. The atmosphere is pretty much on point. It's got this very kind of cold and desolate kind of feel to the movie as well. I don't know. I find a lot... I can overlook a lot of the movie's flaws, put it that way, and enjoy Howling 5 for kind of what it tried to be, not what it succeeded at, because it really didn't succeed at a whole lot, but more so for, I give it an A for effort. Put it that way. As for the Howling 5 on the newly released The Howling Collection from Umbrella Entertainment, it is presented in standard definition and in full frame format. Unfortunately, there are no extras. There's no additional content for Howling 5. It does come in this nice set, which also includes Howling 3, Howling 4, Howling 5, and Howling 6. Each film has its own disc, which is always a good thing. Together in one set, you get some really nice cover art there from Simon Sherry. It's not a bad set overall. But yes, as for the Howling 5, I can't in good conscience recommend it. But I enjoy it. However, I understand that a lot of the elements that I enjoy about the movie, most people probably will not. And it's another one of those Howling movies, much like Howling 4, most people will probably bail on within the first hour. I don't know. I've always enjoyed Howling 5. I can't recommend it, but I've always enjoyed it. I have a soft spot for it. If you've seen Howling 5 The Rebirth, please let me know your thoughts on it down in the comment section below. I'll add a link to Umbrella Entertainment's website in the description if you're interested in picking up this DVD set from Umbrella Entertainment. Go over and check them out. If you like this video, please leave it a thumbs up. If you're not following me on social media, those links are in the description. They're also right around here. As always, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care, and until next time, peace. Join the A Buck a Month Club and help support my channel on Patreon. Thank you to my current patrons, Kevin Smythe, Orc145626, B-Movie Mike, Robert Sobel, Turi Delamore, Stephen Flanagan, Lori Holt, Mitch Odell, Farron Sutton, Craig Farrand, Jeremiah Lambert, Grindhouse Grotto, Joseph Charlesworth, Chris Earls, Derek Jana, Demon Waffles, Simon Clark, Stone Gassman, Zachary Barton, Mr. Bibby86, James Welch, Eli Geisler, Jeff Overing, Alan Scott, Kyle McGuire, Jay the Stingray, Lauren Dixon, Travis Davis, Dave Barnes, Jonathan Lundy, Chris Parsons, Chris Gonzalez, Trenton Bowser, and Jason Brattenbach. Say hello to the internet, Jeremy.
Hello to the internet.